Something that I say along the way will touch you. I know it. Let's begin that process of crafting a meaningful life.
Here's Mary Crafts.
Welcome back to Crafting a Meaningful Life. I have to tell you that this week has not been easy for me. It was my birthday. And I always love my birthday. I never am reluctant to turn the next age. In fact, I often start telling people that I'm the next age about a month in advance. So when it comes, it seems like a natural thing to me. Oh yeah, that's how old I am. But this week's been rough. For the first time in my life, I didn't know if I was ready to go into the next phase. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But the reason I'm going to talk about it today is because I have the fabulous life coach, Aubin Plamer. Aubin, welcome.
Hello. Thank you, Mary.
It is such a delight to have you here. So I'm going to tell the guests, my listeners, a little bit about how I met you and why I decided to have you on the podcast. First of all, you can look at her and you can see, oh my gosh, this woman is gorgeous. But there's a sense about you, about your face and your demeanor that speaks peace. And for me this last week, and for so many others, is that not what we're looking for? That peace, that contentment. And I thought I had found it until last week on my birthday. And I was like, what is wrong with my life? And it's just crumbling right before me. So I really wanted to have you on so you could kind of help us walk through that, because you're such a great life coach. In fact, we've included your link at the end of the podcast and your Instagram link so people can actually find you and follow you and really take in your wisdom. So let's talk about where we met. I have spoken twice at a group called Elevate Women. And Aubin's, of course, obviously a member there. And the first time I talked, I didn't even have a script. It's kind of like our podcast. And I just showed up and I went around the room and I asked women why they were there and what they came to receive or to give. And then I took those things and turned it into a talk, and I addressed each woman and really kind of zeroed in on her needs and allowed my inner self to see and love each woman and see and love you. And then when I went back that was probably a month or two ago?
A month ago.
And I was having everyone go around and introduce themselves. And you, this lovely you, said, I just want you to know, Mary, the last time you were here, you changed my life. And it had been about 2 years. Now, sometimes people say that to me afterwards, and they're like, oh, I think you've changed my life, but then not really. You know what I mean? But you said it's 2 years later, and now you said you've changed my life. And I was so touched by that what I had brought that day was valuable enough to you that it changed your trajectory. So I'd like you to tell me and tell my listeners of that process and how that happened and what piece of that day struck you as, I want to put this into my life forever. So let's start there.
Yeah, so I love that I get to be here and share this experience, because that first time I met Mary, she talked and spoke so much wisdom from her life and shared and helped all of us women. But then at the end was the part that changed my life, when it was one-on-one and she gave me a hug or a hold, like you like to say.
Let me hold you.
And you looked into my eyes, and I have loving parents, an amazing marriage, but I had never felt more love my whole life. And to be so seen and loved by someone I didn't know, to feel so calm and peaceful and safe and okay. It's those emotions everyone wants. And just looking into your eyes and just the love I felt from you, I said to you out loud, I want to be like you.
And then
what you said back to me, you said, you already are. And that's what changed my life. To feel so loved and to know that it's already within me.
Yeah.
I have always wanted the validation externally, and to have it already there is what I needed to realize. And because you did that with that powerful love that you give, I believed it. And that's the key part, because you hear that kind of stuff all the time. Like, just be yourself, be who you are, it's within you. But when you said it to me with looking into my eyes, holding me, feeling that love,
The
it
passing
snapped
of
and it
that
changed.
energy between us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that day, Aubin, and it is a gift that I've been given to be able to give others. Because I often say that to people, because they say it to me because I'm older, they're like, but when I grow up, I want to be you. I'm like, honey, you already are. If you
Yeah.
did not have this in you, you wouldn't see it in me. You'd see
Yeah.
something else. You would see something like, oh, she thinks she's all that, you know. And if they think that about me, it's probably because that's the attitude they have in themselves of rejecting themselves and not seeing who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see in me and experience in me this loving individual who sees you, the only way you can see that is if it already lives in you. Yeah.
I love, and hearing you just say it again, I just feel it. The energy is just so fulfilling, and that's what we all are wanting all the time. And so just to have that and take that and apply it to my business and who I was being in my life, that's why I say it changed my life, because that's what I needed to push me forward and really believe in who I was and be me in taking this forward.
So let's back up that just a little bit. That day after having experienced that and feeling that, what were the things that happened in your life where you manifested that and it really became part of your life? And so first of all, how did you do it and what did you do?
Yeah, so if it's okay, can we back up a little bit to like where I
Yeah,
was, right,
yeah.
and how I got to where I was and then how it changed. So I had always wanted to be a
Honey,
nurse.
this is your story. You get to
Okay.
tell it however you want.
Okay, perfect. So I'd always wanted to be a nurse growing up. And if anyone asked me why, I said because it's a good mom job. And society was changing where we were telling girls to go to school, to go to college, but we still have this desire to be moms. And so I've always looked ahead. I have that kind of personality, and I saw the conflict. How am I going to be a mom and have a career? So even as a child, I was saying, I'm going to be a nurse so that I can be a mom and have a career too. And so
Okay.
I did that and it worked. I became a nurse and I got married. And shortly after, we had our first little girl, but I still had that conflict within. I hadn't resolved it at all because as soon as I was a mom, I cut down my shifts. I didn't want to work as much. And I love being a mom and I love my daughter. And so I didn't know how to do both. I didn't know how to manifest myself in both because I just felt this constant tug of war of conflict. And we had another baby. I got more and more confused because I cut down my shifts even more. We wanted more kids, but I was like, two is enough. I can't do enough kids and work. And so then I found podcasting and life coaching and mindset work. And I really got into that because it answered for me what emotions are. And it's okay to have good and bad emotions. It's okay to understand yourself. It's okay to look at your thoughts. And I loved it so much that I certified as a life coach in 2020. And I was doing both though. I was still working at the hospital and running my own business as a life coach and being a mom and wanting another baby. So I was feeling still like, okay, I'm going to do it all. I just want to be me. But I still didn't understand how. So then in 2021, I quit at the hospital. I said, I'm just going to go in on this entrepreneur thing because then I can control my own hours. I can be a mom. I can go in on this coaching because I'm loving this stuff. It's helping me so much. But that doesn't solve the problem by itself, just quitting the job. I still felt conflicted because I wanted to have then a big successful entrepreneur business. I wanted to give all my energy there. And I realized I had to really apply what I had learned in mindset work and to take it to the next level personally. If I'm going to be a coach, I have to be really applying this. And so I really worked at learning how to
Because
be
just
present.
changing jobs
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
fix the conflict. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't. Exactly. So I worked on being present. I worked on time mindset, not time management, time mindset,
Oh,
and
whoa.
looking at how I'm thinking
Let's,
about time.
okay, let's talk about that. So how do you
Yeah.
see the difference between time management, which I was like a rock star at, and
Yeah.
time mindset? What's
Exactly.
the
So I've
difference?
always been a planner too. Like I've always had 3 planners. It's color coded. I'm that kind of person that people get annoyed at sometimes. So I've always had that part. But time mindset is letting go of, I was always stressed. I was always in anxiety. I was always feeling like time was so finite and conflicting when I was just doing time management. When I looked at time mindset and let go of that time dictates me, but that I dictate my time. I create my time. How I show up is what makes my time. And giving that energy to time made it my best friend, made it, I have all the time in the world. I create this life with my time.
Okay,
And then,
that's another thing. I just want to shout that out that
yeah,
you were the creator of your own time.
yes,
Time was your friend, not your enemy.
no, yeah, exactly. And that shifting that mindset, then I don't feel the anxiety and urgency. I used to feel urgency 24/7 with everything I was doing. And to change my mindset with time, let the urgency go. I'm present in the moment I'm in and I create the experience I want because of how I show up with how I'm thinking about the time.
Wow. Very profound. And that really at so early in your career and in your life, you were able to see these concepts so clearly. I love that. And so what has happened in your life since then? How have you seen the fruits of being able to be not a time manager, but a time liver?
hmm So I would say, coming back to when I met you and I unlocked myself because I was already running the business. I'd already quit my job. I was already starting to work on this. And then believing in myself, which is a key part of having success in a business and being your own boss too, of really believing it's within you, that I don't have to find the answers from others, but find it from me. It's already in me. I already am that. And so when I had that part too, when I met you, that's when I feel like it shifted in my business too, because I believe I started showing up with this time mindset, with this self confidence of I already have it, to be 100% a mom, 100% an entrepreneur, 100% myself. And that's what
Yeah.
I love to unlock within people is there's no rules for who you are, and what being 100% a mom looks like for you is going to be very different than someone else. So stop looking at other people for how to be a mother and look within. Be the mother you're supposed to be for your children.
You know, that's
There's your
something
answer.
you said that I think um, I know that I still struggle with. That piece of I am 100% mom. I'm 100% grandmother. I before I retired was 100% caterer. I was 100% a great neighbor. If you are 100% in all these times, that's like 1200%. How is that possible?
Right,
And
exactly.
so we have it in our brain that, okay, I'm going to live a third of my life here, a third of my life here, and a
Right.
third of my life here. And that's not working for women.
Mm-mm. No. And I think it's not working because this is where I like to talk too is tap into your femininity. It's be a woman running a business. Don't be a man. Don't try to run a
Mm,
business how a man would.
okay.
And I hate the 40 hours for a full-time job. That is bogus, especially as an entrepreneur. Like, I call myself a full-time coach. I don't track the hours I work every week. I'm working all the time, but I'm being a mom all the time. It's not math. It's not a pie like we do with the percentage or the ratio. It's being you. And then when I need to pause and my intuition tells me, okay, my child needs me today, I pull back and I'm more a mom in that moment. But other days, they're at school right now and I'm all in here with you because this is part of me. And I can be 100% present here with you because I'm not thinking about what we have to do after school or what's going on, because I know this is me, this is my space, and living this helps me to then show up 100% mom when they get home from school.
So for someone like you who has her own business and she gets to set her own hours, this is beginning to make, a lot of sense. But there are a ton of women out there who are still working 9, or actually it's not 9. We know that's not when our workday starts. You have to be at the office at 8, so it starts at 7:30 and you don't get home till 5:30. And then you gave so much of your day there, then what is left? And especially if you're an entrepreneur, because we know you don't leave that and walk away.
Right.
I had so many business classes that I lectured to in college. Not when I was in college, but afterwards I went back to be a guest lecturer.
Yeah.
And I would give them this concept of that being able to leave the job behind. And some 9-to-5 jobs can do that. But I always said, if you want a job like that, don't be an entrepreneur. Don't start your own company. Don't launch, because there's no 9-to-5. It is with you 24/7. So that piece is obvious to me, how that becomes 100%. And you don't stop being a mom. That piece is with you 100%.
Right.
And you don't stop being a wife. And you don't stop so many of the things in our life. So when you say you give 100% to each one, rather than thinking of it linearly like this, do you think it more like this?
Yeah. And I think when you decide to be 100% you, that's where boundaries and people pleasing comes up a lot, because you can't make everyone else happy when you're being 100% you. You're honoring your desires and saying, I'm not going to do all the field trips with my kids. That's actually not my thing as a mother, but I'm still their mother. So I don't have to go to all the field trips and be the chaperone there. Or I might not do certain things with my business because I do want to be available for my daughter's recitals or practices for soccer or ballet. But when you have this clear onset of who you are, you're able to set those boundaries and do it with love, which is the key to boundaries, and stop worrying about how everyone else is going to judge you or think about you and having to make them happy, as in people pleasing. And the linear thing, like you said, is just coming inward. And I often think when we're saying, what should I do? What do I want to do? We come in to find the answer instead of going out like we're taught to do. That's how I was taught growing up, to just, well, what would make everyone else happy? What does everyone else need? And especially as women, we do that a lot, which is the people pleasing problem. I see so much with clients that when we're doing that, we're not being 100% ourselves. And so that's one of the big breakaways I've seen, is when we learn to set those boundaries, we can view ourselves as being 100% ourselves.
Okay, so the key then is to not be 100% of all these different hats that we wear. The key then is to be 100% who we are.
Yes. What
about the women who have no idea who they are? How do they find that?
Yeah. Well, that's what I like to help with as a coach. That's one of the things
enter Aubin, the life coach. Okay, great.
Yeah. So it's a journey. And like, even though I can say like, I'm being 100% me, I'm still finding myself. We're always learning and growing and being new people. Yeah. And what I firmly feel today I need might change in a year or 10 years. But having this mindset and self-concept of being 100% me makes me feel so much more safe and ready to take on the world, because I know I've got me at my side. I'm being me. I can do anything I need to do because instead of looking outside for the validation and being okay, I can just do it be me, feel good. I'm not supposed to be anyone else. I'm supposed to be myself. And then I am 100% me. And me is a mom. Me is a coach. Me is an entrepreneur. Me is a wife. Me is an artist. Me is a decorator. Like things I like to do. I'm all of those things, but I'm not other things. And that's okay. And that's where the boundaries come in of just saying, that's not who I am. And that's okay.
Okay. So that is such a key piece, I think, what you just finished talking about. The people who are the people pleasers, who feel like they have to please everyone, all of that comes back to fear. You know, that's my number one thing I talk about. And because we're the fear of not being enough, so I have to be pleasing everyone so they'll all like me, because that's all that matters in life is being accepted and loved. And I have to find that out here. It's why social media can either be one of the best things in your life, or it can be one of the worst things in your life, if that's what you set as your value. But what you're saying is that I need to find my value in my best friend, who is right here, right here next to me, always. They like everything I post, no matter what I post.
Exactly,
I mean, they like everything I say and what I do and who I am and what I'm about, because they're my best friend. They're me. And sometimes I actually do the physical act of when I'm feeling like, weight of the world, bent over, is that I just like stand up and I grab a hold of them, like pretend that I physically can hold them and say, come here, you.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
And
Yeah.
that is where the only permanent validation comes. It doesn't even come in our spouse.
Yes.
It doesn't come in our children. It comes only in here.
I love that you share that. And I do that same thing for myself when I'm feeling like no one gets me, no one understands what I'm going through. I talk to myself and I say, it's okay, Aubin, you're doing a good job. I know what you're feeling. I know what you're trying to do. You do a lot and you're doing a great job, and it's okay to have a hard day. Give yourself that validation you're wishing other people would give you. And we think in our mind like, well, I won't believe it if it's myself, but it works. Like just saying that to myself, my shoulders drop. I feel the love. I feel that comfort I'm wanting. And like you said, my best friend is me. And that feels so good to know I've always got myself by my side to help me, to support me and be there.
Okay, so what happened to me this week is last week.
Yeah, let's hear this.
So on Thursday, I had my birthday. I turned 69. And I was not worried about 69, because I thought, well, next year I'll worry about 70, but I don't want to worry about 69. 69 is just the same thing as 68, right? And I talk so much on this podcast, Aubin, about us being human beings, and it's who we are inside that determines the value of our life, not what we do. We're not human doings, we're human beings. And that it doesn't matter if you can do all these things. Well, I wish I could do as many things as you. Well, that doesn't matter, because you have other gifts inside. And blah, 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 blah. Well, so I came to my birthday, and I had been having these problems with my knee and my back. And I finally went in for an MRI on both of them. And I found out that on my knee, from when I was riding in those minivans, 9 of us crammed in there for 9 hours at a time, when I was in Ukraine last April, that a cyst had developed behind my knee. And that it was creating such pressure on my knee, and that because I'm not giving into pain ever, I went ahead and tried to push through it and tore my meniscus. And then in my back, I discovered that I also had 2 cysts on my lower part of my spine. I'm like, what? I don't understand what's happening to me. And so I went in for the procedure to get rid of the cyst on this knee. and they drained it and were able to break the wall of it. And that was on Wednesday. My birthday was on Thursday. Well, John and I had planned all these fun things, just our usual fun things we love to do. We were going to go play pickleball first thing in the morning. We were going to go golfing. We were going to go to the gym. Then we were going to go hike in the mountains, because those are all things I do that say that it's okay, I'm 69 because you're still a badass. Suddenly came Thursday, and I realized I couldn't do any of them. And so if I couldn't do things, what value did I have? And what did the rest of my life look like? I've always said I want to live to 105 with an option to renew. What if I don't make it? And do I want to live to be 105 if I'm just sitting on the sofa?
Mm-hmm.
That day was horrific for me. And I just went into the pity party. This is me. This is my birthday. I'm just sitting here. Because John doesn't want to just be sitting here. He's painting my trim on the outside of the house, okay? Which was great, but I wasn't able to be out there with him, and I'm just...
Yeah.
And it really hit me hard, that concept I had just taught that very week on my podcast, which was, don't just talk the talk, walk the talk, walk the walk. And it was easy for me to talk about it, to speak about it, to feel embraced with it, as long as I was living this full, wonderful life. But the moment I wasn't, was there value? And did I have to do all these things to have value?
And it's so good that you had this experience, because you said it was easy when you were able to do everything. But part of the human existence are the good moments and the hard moments. And it sounds like you're saying that you did something wrong for questioning your worth in that moment of having to sit on the couch.
Not necessarily wrong. It just surprised me. What the heck?
Yeah. Right. But what you were doing is that it was showing that you still believed it. You're saying, okay, I'm having this hard moment, but am I really believing what I say I believe?
Yeah.
Do you
that's
feel
exactly
like you still believe it, what you say about being a human being?
It allowed me the opportunity to be very retrospective and then projective about looking at the future. And by Friday, it took me a full day. Usually, everybody has a little downtime, and my downtimes are usually 5 minutes. But this was the entire day.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I even thought to myself, so this is depression. I had never experienced this before. And I thought, do I have any drugs here that help with that? Let's see. Because I feel like everybody else, I have the drug chest upstairs that was given to you, after some procedure. And and I thought, I wonder if there's anything up there that helps with that. And then I thought, no, I don't think I do have anything like that. And that's probably a good thing.
Yeah. And
because it let me be stuck enough to move through it.
Yeah. What emotion were you feeling? It's really good to name them.
Okay. So let's see.
Was it depressed or was it something else?
It was depressed, but depressed was a secondary emotion, because if this wasn't a clinical chemical problem in my body, I unfortunately do not have that. So depression was a secondary emotion. I knew that, and I began to see, so what is the primary emotion? And as always, it was fear. What if my life is like this? John and I have been together for 1.5 years. Would he choose to stay with someone who could never be active again? And then the sadness that came with that. And I began to feel this sense of hopelessness. And so as I, of course, wanting to work through this, I kind of began to just talk to myself as I was sitting on the sofa. Ugh, I don't sit on the sofa. At least not to do that. I usually spend time in meditation to receive all of what's coming into me, but not necessarily to ask the question, how can I heal this? And that was the question I had to ask that day. How can I heal this?
Yeah, and that's so beautiful that you were able to even recognize in the moment the emotions you were feeling, that they were emotions. And what I like to help people to see is that there's nothing wrong for feeling emotions, even the hard ones, even ones that people call negative sometimes, like fear or depression. But coming to accept all emotions as good, even the hard ones, as what has unlocked for me this ability just to feel them. So, is there any of this fear still in you from your birthday the other day? Do you still feel it?
Not quite as much. I woke up this morning feeling pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
yesterday, which was Sunday, so my birthday was on Thursday, my family came to celebrate my birthday and, do the gifts and the dinner and the cake and the laughing and the sharing and the hugging. And during dinner, I shared with them all this stuff that had been going on with me. And I had always prided myself at being the grandma with the mostest. We'd hike together, we'd do all this, and I thought, will I have as much value to my grandchildren? But I just put it all out there, and to feel their love and concern, and that they didn't care. They didn't care if I ever went hiking with them again. I mean, yes, they would miss that, but if grandma's okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
And to feel them
So
come and
beautiful.
hug
You
me.
could have that from them.
Yeah.
But it's also good to see it's okay that you have had that fear more intensely back on Thursday, and even if there's some today.
Yeah.
And recognizing it is an emotion. It is a state of being when we're in that emotion. And that's part of being a human being, is feeling the good emotions of joy and confidence and love, and the harder ones too.
Yeah. And
And
I
that you
love
haven't done anything
feeling the good
wrong.
ones. It's
Yes, we all do, right?
people don't look at Mary Crafts or Aubin Palmer as somebody that has depressed days. I
But
mean,
we do.
they see us just up here flying, but
Right.
we do have the hard days,
Exactly.
just like everyone else. Yeah.
And I love to find the fear instead of trying to avoid it, push it down, react to it, say, where am I feeling this fear in my body?
Yeah.
Where is it showing up for you?
It was showing up for me that day. Well, I really felt it here, like right here in the center, in my heart. I felt like my heart had gotten heavier that day, and that there was a sadness that I was going to be different. And as I looked at that, I thought, is that okay if I shift? Is it okay if I'm someone different now? Do I have to be always that badass? Do I still have value? Could you be as an effective speaker in a wheelchair on a stage? I mean, I went all the way to thinking that.
Yeah, you went.
And I thought, maybe even more so. I think of all the speakers that I know who are in a wheelchair,
Right.
and they have still this powerhouse attitude. Yeah.
And I love, as you've been talking, to differentiate the actual thoughts and the feelings, because thoughts come from our mind, our conscious and subconscious. And it's easier to find the conscious thoughts. We all have programmed subconscious thoughts. We're thinking all the time. But both of those kinds of thoughts are what create the emotion. And it's not to condemn the emotion or say, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be thinking that. It's to be aware. Why am I feeling the fear? Which of these thoughts is actually creating that emotion for me? And when we identify that, we can truly own our state of being, of saying, I am thinking this, I am feeling this, and it's okay. I'm going to experience it and work with it instead of letting it take over me, which is a reaction most people can have to emotions, is just letting it take over, shutting down, not wanting to do anything anymore, feeling like it's done, but instead processing it, allowing it, and saying, I feel this fear. It's okay. And holding it and moving forward and saying, I might be the speaker in a wheelchair someday. And even with a little fear still, I'm going to move forward with that confidence within me. The me that's always there, just like I told Aubin, as Mary Craft, that can help impact the world and change the world however I can be me. Whether I can stand up and do pickleball and go hiking, or if I have to do it from wheelchair, I will be me.
Me. So when John came in from painting, I was in tears, and he's like, "What's going on?" And I just said, "I don't know. We're not going to be able to do anything tonight. I think you should go home." And he just looked at me and goes, "You don't want me to be here on your birthday?" I was like, "Well, no. I think I'm gonna be okay. I think I'd rather be alone." And he just sat down and came on the sofa and just put his arms around me. He said, "I'm not leaving. I'm never leaving. You know that, right?" And just to feel his embrace allowed me to take some breaths and get into my space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good because when you were telling him to leave, what emotion were you feeling there?
I thought better to tell him to leave than to wait until he leaves me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sounds like fear.
Oh my gosh, such
There.
fear.
Yes. And you're thinking it's protection, which is often what we're doing out of fear, is to protect ourselves. And you thought, by telling him to leave, I'll feel better because he can't hurt me by leaving later.
Protect
but he
this
knows
heart.
you, it sounds like, and he didn't let you push him away that way, so that
Yeah.
you didn't let that emotion stop from what you really wanted. You really did want to be with him.
I really did, and I did really want him, but it was my way of protecting me.
Yeah. So learning how to be aware of our emotions and our thoughts in the moment, like you were doing, and then even there, so that when your mind thinks, tell him to leave so he can't hurt me, you can see, oh, that's my mind trying to protect me. And this is where I talk to myself too and say, thank you, mind, you're just trying to protect me. But I know that if I'm honoring my true self, being 100% me, I do want to be with him tonight. So I'm going to be vulnerable and tell him, we can't go do pickleball or hiking today for my birthday.
Or dancing or anything else that we
Right,
normally
we
do.
can't do any of those activities, but I still would love to be with you. That's vulnerable. That's what we're afraid of.
Thank you,
That's what
Aubin.
you wanted.
Thank you.
That's how you can be yourself, even in those hard moments, and not shaming yourself for thinking it, because your brain is still going to do that to protect you, but being aware of it and working with it.
So it's one of the things I love most about doing this podcast is it gives me a platform to be 100% vulnerable, to be naked, emotionally naked, and say what might be seen as the person who is crafting the perfect life in reality is not real. That I have moments that are just down there where, like, I don't know where that is, but it's living at a lower vibration than what I want to live. And the steps and the processes that we go through to bring ourselves up to that higher vibration. And I love that my listeners got to see you coaching me through that. Now, I'm pretty aware, but even if I hadn't been aware, just listening to your words would give me a spot to build from, a place to lift again. And I appreciate that you were able to walk me through that. And listeners got to see right here, right now, what it looks like to have a life coach.
Yeah.
To be real with someone. So thank you.
You're welcome. It was so wonderful. And I hope that you got to feel that life coaching is all about unlocking what's going on in our mind and in our hearts and what we're feeling emotionally, to not feel like at the mercy of life, but to create the life we want and the experiences we want, how we want to experience our own life. And it's so much powerful in mindset. They say that success is 80% mindset and 20% strategy.
Yeah.
And I believe that so much.
I'm totally on that page.
How it can help you to be you was really what it means, is unlocking all that stuff inside that's stopping you.
And all those things are part of me.
Yeah.
They're all part of me, and to own them. And that's how I begin to understand your concept of being 100% in so many places, because you're owning all of them as part of you.
Yes.
There are so many working mothers who watch this podcast, and I would hope that they would look you up on Instagram or on your website, Aubin Plamer Coaching. And just reading your stuff every day is a lift. It's a lift.
Well, thank you. Yes, I love helping. And right now I do have a free class. It's just a digital YouTube video that is a link in my bio on Instagram, and it's called The Secret of Making Boundaries Work, because that has been the biggest problem I've seen with my clients.
I haven't looked at that yet, but I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, learning how to use boundaries and make them work, and how to feel love, because most people do not feel love when they're setting a boundary. And that is the power of using boundaries the right way. So that I want to help more people know how to do that. And so I have that for free right now in the link at my bio to help more people have that.
And one of the things you said about these, our time's up, so I got to go, but I have to say this, okay? One of the things you said in your Instagram feed that struck me so beautifully was, boundaries are an act of love. And it's not just an act of love for others or for yourself, but for everyone.
Yes.
That you don't have to, others don't have to worry about taking advantage of you or impeding on you or taking too much of your time if you've set boundaries of where they can be.
Exactly.
And you don't have to worry about being a victim or a people pleaser or all those other things if you have set boundaries for yourself.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful concept, Aubin. Wow. You're just a powerful woman.
Life. And it's just one part of what I love to help people with, because it's a huge one, because the people come to me for totally different things, and we root to the problem of people pleasing and boundaries a lot. So it helps business, it helps your family, it helps even boundaries with yourself are good.
Boundaries with yourself. I didn't know how to set those, and that's why I continued to injure my knee. You will work out. You will. You will do squats, And they kept telling me, probably all those squats is what tore that meniscus. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Life is a journey, and I love it.
Yes.
Just think how boring my life would be if it was just, like everyday fabulous.
Exactly.
The joy is in the down parts and the up parts. And you appreciate the up parts more because of here. But this is where the lessons are.
Right.
We don't learn much when we're flying high. We learn a whole lot down here.
Mm-hmm.
Aubin, I love you. I love you. I see you. And I know the joy and the love that you're bringing to so many. And thank you for bringing them here today.
Thank you for having me. It was a wonderful journey to be here with you.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Listen to the full podcast today and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and more. Crafting a Meaningful Life with Mary Crafts.